Hi guys, welcome back. I'm going to show you how I made my DIY holiday wreath. I used a foam wreath form, a glue gun, glue sticks, and any ornaments of your choice. I had some left over, so any ornaments of your choice. This year I did silver and gold, and I wanted a wreath that matched the rest of my decor. So I got the wreath form from Michael's for $8.99, but I got it 50% off. So here I am putting the first bulb on the wreath form. I'm just putting a little dab of glue, but you do have to hold it for a while because doing the inner ring of the wreath form, it doesn't have anything to rest against. So you are going to have to hold it a little longer than you have to do the rest of the rows, but you'll see that in the coming videos. So this is the first bulb that I put on. And you can see me here adding the second bulb. And this one at least can rest up against the first one, but you still do have to hold this one a little longer than normal. But the process moves very fast after this first inner row is done. Okay, now the third one is going on, and it's getting easier as I add more of the bulbs. When you add the bulbs, you want to make sure that the part that you usually hook the ornament hook on is facing downward, so it's not sticking up, because you don't want to be able to see that when you lift your wreath up. And then here's where I noticed that it got easier to do this first inner ring of the ornaments with the wreath form standing up, because they kept falling over. So this just made it a little easier. And as you can see, I'm making progress. The fourth one is going on. I did try to alternate between the gold and the silver designs. There's my dog in the background. But after a while, I just started grouping them in any pattern that, you know, a random pattern. So there were some golds together, there were some different silver patterns together, and it all came together really nicely. So. And here I am finishing up that first inner circle. The size bulbs I used, I'm not sure what size they are, but it wasn't a perfect fit. So the last one sticks out just a little bit, but once I embellish the wreath with other decorations, you're not going to be able to tell at all. So this is me finishing up the first inner ring. And I have no idea how many ornaments I used for this project. I will have to go back and look at the containers and leave it down in the description box below, but it was probably, you know, maybe 50, 55 at that. And so now that I have this row completed, the second row is going to be a lot easier, and it's going to move very faster because it can rest up against that first ring of ornaments. And you can also add a dab of glue in between the ornaments so that they also are glued to each other as well. So I started to do that as the process started moving. finishing up that second row, just adding the last bulb there. And I am going to do a third row because you can still see the wreath form around the edges. And keep in mind, you'll be looking at this wreath head on, so you do not have to do the back of the wreath. But I felt like I needed one more row just so that you couldn't see the wreath form. So this is how it has turned out thus far. And I am going to start the third row now. Okay guys, I'm finishing up the final row now, and this is what it looks like after I have completed all 3 rows. I think that is more than enough. When you look at it head on, you're not going to see the back of the wreath, so you don't have to worry about doing that side. But again, you want all of the ornament hook things to be facing downward or towards the back of the wreath so that you won't be able to see them. And I know that you can still see the wreath form through the bulbs, but I'm going to fill those in. I did find some old garland from the Dollar Tree that I had laying around the house, and I wasn't using it this year. So I'm going to cut these in about 6-inch pieces, and I'm going to weave them throughout the wreath until it reaches its desired fullness. And that is going to cover up a lot of the wreath form that you can see in between the ornaments. So I'm just cutting the garland right now, and I will begin to weave it through shortly. Now guys, I only use one garland from the Dollar Tree. You can use as little or as much as you want. You can cut them in bigger pieces, smaller pieces. I'm just bending them and interweaving them in between the ornaments that I've already had glued on the wreath, so they're pretty secure. You can add a dab of glue if you want, but it's not necessary. I figured that I could take out the garland later on if I wanted, next year to add a different type of decorative pick or something into the wreath. So that is why I didn't glue mine, but I'm just interweaving it in, and I'm just making it as full as I feel that it should be, and you should feel free to do the same. Now guys, I did have some extra frosted pine cones just laying around that I wasn't using and I didn't have a use for, so I'm going to also embellish my wreath with some of these. You guys may have some, pine cones or other decorative picks that you want to use on your wreath, but this is totally, DIY, so it's up to whatever your liking is. You can add whatever you want. Some people have other ornaments that aren't the round bulb type that they want to add on it and then, adhere to their wreath, so that's fine. I just used what I had around my house because I didn't want to spend any extra money minus having to get the wreath formed itself. So here I am just gluing some of those frosted pine cones on, and at this point the process went very smooth and went very quickly. I just tucked the garland in and then glued pine cones wherever I saw fit. guys, so I felt like my wreath was still a little sparse. So after I added the first couple of pine cones, I decided to go back and add a few more just to make it a little fuller. So that's what I'm doing now, just counting a few out, and I'm going to glue them in the places that I feel need something else. Okay guys, so here's my finished product. I think it looks really nice for it to be a free DIY wreath, and I made it all out of things that I had laying around the house, and it also matches my current decor this year. Here it is on my door. I did decide to add a ribbon bow to it, and the bow and the ribbon coordinate with the ribbon that I used on my Christmas tree this year. So I had a really fun time making this, and I hope you do the same. Bye!